We all hear about heaven, right? This place with no suffering. But what if that's not just some nice idea? What if it's more like a law of physics? Today, we're going to dig into this really wild thought that suffering, just by what it is, literally can't get into heaven. So, let's find out why.
Okay, but before we talk about heaven, let's bring it right back down to earth, to you. Seriously, take a second and just think. Why do you feel suffering? What is it right now that's causing you that ache, that pain? Try and put your finger on it.
I bet for a lot of us, it's something on this list. The source material talks about this endless sea of human pain, right? Things like debt, being betrayed by someone you trust, wanting something you just can't have. Or maybe it's sickness, losing someone, or just the day-to-day grind of your job. We've all been there. It's kind of the human condition.
And see, that's the heart of the problem. If we think suffering is caused by all this stuff out there in the world, well, the sources are infinite, aren't they? There's always going to be another bill, another person who lets you down, another bad day. It feels like a battle you can just never, ever win.
And this leads to a really stark, almost shocking statement from the source material. It says, "Those who suffer cannot enter heaven." Now hold on, it's so important to get this right. This isn't meant to be a threat, like be good or else. Think of it more like a doctor's diagnosis. It's pointing out a fundamental incompatibility, like trying to mix oil and water. So what on earth does that actually mean?
Well, to really get it, we have to completely flip how we think about the problem. The whole argument here is that we've been looking in the completely wrong direction. The issue isn't what happens to us. The real issue is happening inside of us. It's time to diagnose the real sickness.
So look at this. We are basically trained from birth to believe our suffering comes from the outside world, right? It's other people's fault. It's bad luck. It's just unfortunate events. But this idea turns that completely on its head. It says the real source, the only source, is your own consciousness. The problem isn't out there, it's in here.
This means we have to redefine what suffering even is. It's not just a bad feeling you have to get through. It's a symptom. It's an illness of your consciousness. Even more than that, it's like a flashing red light on your dashboard. It's a signal, a sign, that proves your perception of reality is in some really deep way wrong.
And that brings us to the absolute core of this whole thing. If you feel suffering, it proves there's a problem with your consciousness. So if you're in pain, it's not because the world is a broken place. It's because your internal operating system has a bug. Your suffering is literally a message from you to you, saying, hey, something in here needs to be fixed.
Let's put this to the ultimate test. Imagine, poof, you're placed in a perfect paradise, a literal heaven, everything you could ever want. But if your consciousness is still sick, what do you think would happen? According to this philosophy, you'd find a way to be miserable. You'd find someone to be jealous of. You'd get angry about something small. You'd be disappointed. You would literally build your own personal hell right there in the middle of heaven. Why? Because the problem isn't the location. It's the lens you're looking through.
Okay, so if the problem is this sickness of consciousness, then what's the virus? What's the actual root cause of all this? Well, the source material gives it a very specific name.
It's called ego attachment, or in the original text, wochir. And at its heart, it's a really simple but incredibly stubborn belief. It's that deep-down conviction that I am right and everyone else is wrong. You know that feeling, that rigid, defensive part of us that just has to be correct, no matter what.
And this sets off a chain reaction. See, this ego attachment, this need to be right, it starts to corrupt our consciousness. It creates this warped filter that we see everything through. And a flawed, warped consciousness can only produce one thing: suffering. Because whenever reality doesn't line up with our right way of seeing things, boom, we feel pain.
But look, this isn't some hopeless diagnosis, far from it. If there's a sickness, there's also a cure. And the source calls it a form of medicine. And the best part? It's available to every single one of us right now.
So this presents us with a really clear choice. Two paths. On one side, you've got the path of delusion, zimi bu'u. That's the person who just keeps blaming the world, pointing fingers and refusing to take the medicine. And on the other side, that's the path to freedom. That's the person who decides to look inward, to examine their own mind, and to willingly take that medicine of self-reflection.
So that's the key, right? The medicine is self-reflection. But just like any medicine, it doesn't do you any good if you leave it in the bottle. You have to actually take it. And to refuse to look inward, to keep insisting that the problem is always out there, well, in the words of the source, that's how you become incurable. You're essentially choosing to stay sick.
And that brings us to our final reflection. One last, really powerful idea that kind of ties this all together. It's a thought that's designed to completely shift how you see your own reality, right here, right now.
And here it is. You are in heaven right now, but your consciousness is in hell. Whoa, what does that mean? It means the potential for peace, for joy, for paradise. It's all right here. It's always been here. The only thing stopping you from experiencing it is the state of your own mind. It's the hell that we build for ourselves with ego attachment and by refusing to just look inside.
So that leaves us with one final, very personal question. Something to think about long after this is over. Just take an honest look at your own thoughts, your reactions, your own suffering, and ask yourself, your consciousness, is it in heaven or is it in hell?